4 episodes, Bo.
Yeah. We've
Four.
only yeah, so here we are.
Uh,
I should say okay. So just
4 episodes,
to
Bo.
just to say we've so we took a couple of weeks off, not
Yeah.
because not because we were trying to get away from our responsibilities here.
No, because if it was that easy, we would have done it a while ago.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Um no, the reason we were off is you had the Fright Fest.
Yeah, Glasgow Fright Fest returning back to cinemas, like in person Fright Fest, which last year was all digital, and the year before we just got through it just before lockdown started. Um, so yeah, I was back in a giant cinema surrounded by people watching new horror movies, which was fucking weird.
Yeah, I guess so. How was it? How was being amongst the people?
Being amongst the people was okay for the most part. Not that I will get into a little bit of details about maybe what didn't ruin it, but tainted it a little bit for me. I think there was only one American in the entire auditorium, and they were sat right behind us. And I was going to say you people. That is not fair. That is not fair. That
Okay.
one particular American was very annoying, like incredible, very loud,
Okay.
and that's coming from me. Talked all the way through the film, like narrated it. Like, why are you doing that? Don't go in there. Don't do that.
Oh,
That's a bad
really?
thing. Yeah, yeah, one of those. And then every song that played in the movie, they sang the lyrics out of key. So yeah, that was, but they didn't sit through every movie, thankfully. But they were there for most of it. So there was that part.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
But yeah, well, it wasn't fun. And then the second part was for the most part, the movies were not of the usual quality I've experienced at Fright Fest. A couple of reasons for that. Not like maybe two out and out stinkers, and the rest were adequate to amazing. But I did see what I would put forward as my favorite movie this year,
Oh,
which
really?
is
What was that?
a little Italian number called Freaks Out, which I don't know when it's going to be available, but it's. Let me put it this way, and this is a bold fucking statement that is likely to lose me listeners.
I like bold
Um,
statements.
I've seen two movies this year that involved freak shows, right? One being Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley,
Uh-huh.
and the other one being Freaks Out. Freaks Out is the better movie.
Whoa, bite your tongue, sir.
Not, I shit you not. Let me just set you up a little premise.
Okay.
Four freaks
Uh-huh.
in Italy during the German kind of Nazi occupation of Italy towards the end of the Second World War have their basically their tent blown up and make a move to Rome to try and get passports to get across to America to continue their trip there. The four freaks in question all appear to be able to do the manifestation of what their freak ability is, ergo kind of making them superheroes to an extent.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
This sounds
right?
like a Charles
So
Band movie.
dude, like the production on this is ridiculous. Like this is the best movie I've seen this year, and like the level of it's the most what we got told was it's the most expensive Italian production ever. Right, so there is serious fucking money behind this, like serious money. And so they go to Rome, but in Rome there is a massive freak kind
The
of
Pope.
circus there,
Oh,
and it's headed up by a kind of a Nazi with six fingers on each hand, and he plays piano. But he
naturally.
also, when he huffs ether, he sees the future. So he has seen the downfall of the Nazi regime.
This
He's
sounds
seen Hitler.
bonkers, man.
You've no fucking idea, right? You've no idea. He's seen the downfall. But imagine all of what I'm saying just now, but amazing production, as in like
Okay.
Marvel level production, as in like everything is looks like all the money in the world's been spent on it. And this guy sees the future, and he sees that the only way to save the Nazi regime is he has to track down these 4 people that he's seen from his visions, who happen to be 4 freaks that actually manifestate their power. And that's the setup. And then what you basically get, the way I described it is, imagine the Adventures of Baron Munchausen as directed by Guillermo del Toro, and that's the fucking movie. It was mind-blowing. It was, I sat there going, what? Like, all the way, just the best fucking thing ever. I fucking adored this movie. And it's like it plays for kids, but it's got really filthy humor in it, like really, really dark, disturbing, filthy humor. And oh yeah, Nazis are murdering Jews in the background. Like, it is just, it's incredible. It's like it blew me away. I kind of sat there just going, this is amazing. So yeah, so that was the best movie I saw. The worst movie I saw is a movie that's getting a lot of traction just now and is about to hit, I think, theaters in America in May. And that movie would be what was it? Monstrous. The new Chris Severson movie starring Christina Ricci, which is hot fucking garbage.
Really?
Yeah. That's a movie that if you are even semi-educated in horror movies, you know what the twist is 3 minutes into it, and then it dares to do fucking nothing until the last 3 minutes. And when the last 3 minutes show up, it's shite. Oh my God. Christina Ricci's really good in it.
Sure. Well, she's good.
She's really good in it. And the time period, the setting of the kind of 50s aesthetic and all the rest, tailor-made for her. Mm-hmm. But the movie itself, fucking garbage. Yeah, so
that's a bummer.
So there you go. Yeah. So that would be my summation. There's a lot of bad. There's a movie that, like, if you get a chance to watch it, you need to watch it because it is right up Bo's. This is a terrible fucking movie, but I can't believe how much I am laughing and enjoying how terrible it is. It's a movie called The Ledge.
Okay.
The Ledge is basically, imagine Cliffhanger with rapists, and that's kind of, it's just like a group of douchebaggy, douche bro guys who accidentally murder a female climber, and her female friend decides to, like, she films them disposing of the body, and then to escape them decides to climb up this like extremely dangerous mountain in Italy, and they pursue her up the mountain. And that's it. It's got the worst dialogue I've fucking... And another movie that has money spent on it. But this is the thing. Directed by the Dead.
Really? Well, he also did... What was the Dead India?
He did that second movie, The Dead India, which was a pile of shit. But he did The Dead. And I was like, The Dead is a great movie.
The Dead is a great movie.
But the best thing about it was, this was the first time he'd seen it with an audience. And he sat down to do the Q&A at the end, and he was like, "It's like I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting so much laughing during the movie. It's like kind of, it's a bit more, you know, it's supposed to be played a bit more serious than that. But the whole place was just pissing themselves laughing because it's fucking awful." And then he didn't read the kind of tone of the room. What he should done a Tommy Wiseau and just went right into it. You know,
yeah. Oh, I made this campy movie. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't do that. So he tried to kind of defend it, justify it, and then kind of shun it. You know, well, I didn't actually write the dialogue. Well, I didn't actually edit the movie. And it was just like, dude, what are you doing?
No,
and he was also,
you're the director, man. Don't pawn that off.
He was also out his face on drugs. Like, he'd come in here coked to death. He was bouncing, like, and he couldn't sit still. And it was hilarious. So yeah, The Ledge, if you get a chance to watch it, Bo. We would have the funnest conversation.
All right, that might be a future commentary.
Oh, dude, it is primed for a commentary. It is. Yeah, I could see this with a degree of ease and comfort. It is a worse movie and an easier movie overall to mock than Money Plane. So
Oh, now that's a bold statement.
I shit you not. It doesn't have rumble in it, but it's, you know what I mean? You know, it was what a bet on an alligator fucking a man, money plane.
Money plane.
Doesn't have that, but it does have some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in a movie.
All right. Well, you know, that's appealing on some level.
If you want me, like, you were on vacation.
I was.
So I was doing that. You were enjoying time away from
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I don't know how well it comes across. I'm still a little sunburned or a little.
You do look a little bit lush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little lush. Speaking of, no, I went on a Bahamian cruise, and yeah, I know it was very fancy. But yeah, I did like it was like a 5-day 4-night kind of 4-night kind of thing. And went to Nassau, and it was. So I think I've mentioned this before, but my buddy Chad that I do Pick Six movies with, he works for Disney.
Yes.
And so they get these incredible rates for Disney cruise. And so that's what we did. We did like the actual Disney cruise. And they have their own island.
Of course they do.
And yeah, so we did that for.
Is there a super villain in a volcano mountain in the middle of it?
No, but a guy right down the hall totally got Wicker Man. You gotta leave somebody behind, and I fortunately it wasn't me.
Oh Jesus Christ! No!
Yeah.
No! And you're like, stop the boat! Stop the boat!
Right? He's like they're burning the effigy. He's in a wooden goofy. They're all like, "It's a small world after all."
Yuck! Yuck!
I'm afraid you've got to die.
That would be the, like, being burned alive and hearing Goofy laugh at you might be the worst thing ever.
Yeah. So. He did not seem to enjoy it. But it was really great. Like they had honestly, the dinners were what made the whole trip. Like it was some of the best food I've had in a very long time. Like really, strangely, really good escargot.
Nice.
Yeah. Like every meal was just decadent. And it was really wonderful, but it was really nice. Like just sitting on the deck. If you ever get the opportunity, I kind of recommend it. Of sitting on a deck and just reading a book, and while like the ocean surrounds you and so forth. It was really wonderful. I had a great time. But yeah, got a little that day in the Bahamas. I got a little burned. So,
because it's warm there, bro.
Right, yeah, no, the sun's shining all the time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, here's one of my favorite things about the Bahamas, actually, is we took, I like a good cultural tour, like an architectural or historical tour, if you go visit a place.
I'm 100% the same, yeah.
So I ended up signing up for this pirate tour, because I was like, oh, that would be fascinating, is to hear, like, be on this replica pirate ship as it kind of tools around the Nassau Harbor, telling stories of pirates. It's not what I got. It was more of a pirate dance party, and less historical and so forth, which was a little bit of a.
I think I own for the PlayStation 4 Pirate Dance Party.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever played it, but
it's pretty good. The multiplayer's good. The thing about. The thing about the pirate dance party, it totally was just like, hey, we're gonna dress up like pirates. There's some rum punch that you can get at the bar. We're going to tell a few, not even stories, just we're gonna give you a few facts about the Bahamas that may or may not be related to piracy, and then the kids are all gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna play some dance music. And then dance around, and everybody's going to have their rum punch, and it's going to be a good time. And so that part of it was kind of a bummer, because I was like, but I'm not learning anything. I want to learn something. And which just tells me, like, what an old man I've become, where I'm just like, what do you mean this isn't, like, enriching in some way? You know?
Don't try and ply me with alcohol as a way to make me forget that this is a learning experience.
Right. I wanted to learn something. But here's the thing that I took away from the pirate dance party was, as you're cruising through the bay, you get to see the homes that people own
Mhm.
right on the Nassau Bay. And they are these like incredible mansions with private yachts docked in front and so forth. And it was like the amount of drug money
Oh God, yeah.
that would buy a home like this. It was incredible, Duncan. I mean,
It'll all be drug dealers.
Yeah.
It's like...
But there was one of the like it was this really beautiful like modern glass and stone kind of building or mansion essentially, and it was like this looks to go back to video games. It was like this is the thing you buy in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
you know, like this
the
is
final thing you buy.
Right,
Yeah.
this is the house that's like you have made it. You now control the crime in the city, and we have given you this beautiful postmodern mansion as a reward. It was that,
Yeah,
and I mean, just gorgeous. But yeah, so I got a little something, but it was a good time. So that's why we've been a little bit away. Is that
a little bit
away.
loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
We have been. Yeah, we've not been here. We've been doing other things, and it's not because we were trying to shirk responsibilities. Like Bo said, we're back.
Yeah, we've
to
got
do another episode of Slasher. Our
got
penance for
5
enjoying
episodes.
ourselves.
Yeah, and so all right. Here's another thing, Duncan, is against all odds. Like the last episode we did is maybe the most listened to episode of the show we've ever.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
It's a good question. But God bless you.
And maybe at this stage it's just people tuning in to see how miserable we are.
Perhaps so.
They do say misery loves company. I think that's maybe why the downloads have been up.
Maybe so. But it's appreciated and it's wonderful.
We love you all. We do love you all, but this TV show is slowly killing me.
Well, I don't think it's all that slow.
We've been doing it a year and a bit, so
yeah. I came down with a case of terminal slasher. Really taking its time with me. All right. So now that we've apologized for, basically a week's worth of delays,
everything
doing this show, and also what's going on in Ukraine, I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Obviously we stand with Ukraine. What a
100%. Yeah, it couldn't any more if we tried. So
what a terrible situation that is, and believe it or not, we have Eastern European listeners. So I hope everyone is well. I hope good Lord be safe, and also kind of fuck Russia while we're at it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Once again, always.
Yeah. I'm sure the Russian people are wonderful, but
their leader is not. Neither is their regime.
Yeah, right. So anyway, aside from all that, let's get back to the business at hand. We begin the show talking about something we've seen good and bad. You kind of did a little bit of that with the Frightfest, but anything that you want to draw attention to?
Yeah, well, I saw that the Batman yesterday.
How was that? Where is that? Is that your good or your bad?
That's my good.
Oh,
I thought it was great.
What?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Matt Reeves doing it again.
Yeah, to me that was. I don't do. This is the thing. I don't have allegiances to comic books, to particular comic book authors that did particular runs and all the rest. So, when I watch a movie, I judge it on, is it a good movie? Would I watch it again? Did it entertain me? As a 3-hour movie that did not feel like a 3-hour movie, it flew in for me. I loved the kind of stylistic choices, and I'm not just saying this because it was mostly shot in Glasgow, which is one of my favorite things I've been reading online is people talking about how authentically shitty they've made Gotham look when it's just shot in Glasgow.
No,
that's what Glasgow
needed.
looks like. That's why they came here. So I love that aspect, but so many plus points for me overall in it. I think Colin Farrell as the Penguin is fucking genius. You would not want, he's got so much prosthetic on, you would never know it was him. But I like the humor, the way that all worked out, absolutely brilliant. Paul Dano as the Riddler. I mean, he's a great actor, but like they Zodiac him up to the nth degree, and I kind of fucking loved that. I did not know. See, there were so many things. I'm so disconnected from it. I didn't know that Andy Serkis played Alfred in this. You don't get a lot.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of him, but he's really good.
Sure.
And our buddy Arpats is a great Batman. He doesn't talk too much. He doesn't like, and I had to Google this to have it explained, but Batman doesn't kill anyone in this.
He's not supposed to. Batman is supposed to not kill. Yeah.
Did not know that. So like, that's not what history's taught me. History's taught me that in every single movie, Batman kills everyone. Yeah. So that was a bit of a shock to the system. And by God, does he actually solve crimes? Which was kind of weird. Like you see him, you see the process of him. There's a bit of the Watchmen in it as well. There's a bit of kind of like Rorschach's journal. And there's a narration that goes through it where he's narrating what he's doing. I thought it held together really, really, really well. I've read some people say that they don't like the runtime. Wasn't an issue for me. Read somewhere that people didn't really like the score to it. A bit too much Nirvana for them. Didn't mind it. I thought overall it was done really well. I enjoyed the new Catwoman. I think they've set it up really well for potential future ones when they decide to do it. It's not a case of if, they will be doing
it's
more
done well. It's made some money.
So yeah, I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because I did a hard pass on those Affleck ones. I could not give less of a fuck about those Affleck ones and didn't watch any of them. Because I kind of thought after Nolan's Batman movies, that was me kind of done. I was like, right, I've seen it. It's probably about as dark and as good as the interpretation of that world and that character is going to be. I don't really want to go through that again with someone else. And this one was really, really, really fucking good. So well played to them. It's ballsy putting out a 3-hour movie. Like, especially in this climate just now, super ballsy, and they've done it, and it seems to have succeeded. A lot of that will come down to the intellectual property itself. Batman's a bankable name, but it does seem like people are enjoying it. And this is maybe the first time I've seen like a lot of reviewers not instantly comparing it to Nolan's Batman, which is unfortunately what is going to happen when you get, it's like we talk about with The Exorcist all the time. You just like, is there any point of doing any movie that has demonic possession in it anymore when The Exorcist exists? Because
what are you going to do different? Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you do that exorcism scene, it is instantly going to be, compared to that. And in the case of this one, I thought they did enough with it and pushing it in different directions, and it flowed really, really, really well. And it's difficult not to look at that movie and weirdly see, like, I'm now getting like a whole generation of filmmakers who are very influenced by David Fincher.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is this is about as close as you will ever get to David Fincher directs the Batman. So
I've heard that this is like the 7 DNA is quite obvious. Yeah,
all the way through it. Just like it's got a very particular feel, vibe, and action about it, and a flow which feels that way. And I'm not against that. Like, I have all the cheery, and I'm using cheery loosely here.
Yeah,
I've all the cheery, happy, sparkly, flashy, very, very colourful Marvel movies that sit here. And they've tried the darker stuff with the DC thing, and it's been a bit hit or miss, right? And we've had that Joker movie, which I thought was great. And we've now had the Batman movie, which I think is great. What's interesting about them is there appears to be very little studio fuckery coming in from that side. That's the way they should just do them. These little standalone reinterpretations and reimaginings, as opposed to trying to replicate what the other side's doing, because the other side kind of does that well. So you might as well just try and do your own thing and make your movies as different to them as possible without trying to copy them. And I think those two movies are a success story because of that.
I think you're right. And I don't have a too much personal preference when it comes to the comics. Like, I probably tend to enjoy Marvel Comics more than DC, because DC gets a
Yeah.
bit goofy with some of that stuff. But I do like that DC has taken that tack that you described of just, hey, let's do these one-off movies, or if we do, a trilogy or whatever, then that's fine. But it'll be self-contained. We don't have to have the character from this movie hopping into this movie and that kind of thing. We can just do our own stuff. And when you're talking to, especially Batman, where there's, almost 100 years worth of Batman stories.
Yeah,
why
this movie's
not?
a 3-hour kind of essentially reboot reimagining that doesn't have an origin story.
Yeah, that's great.
Which
that was
like
one of the best things about Spider-Man. When Marvel took Spider-Man, they were just like, don't even worry about.
Like you've like in the last 20 years, you've seen this rebooted twice.
Yeah.
Why would we reboot? Like I just like, people know the story. Let's get into what people are paying their ticket money for, and that's what they did straight away. And it didn't. I don't know. I hit the ground running in a way that I thought was great. So I'm very curious to see what they want to continue doing with. They certainly set up a kind of teaser ending, which could lead to a certain direction, which feels so obvious. It did make my eyes roll a little bit. But you've got Nick Cage out there saying that he wants to play the Eggman. I don't fucking know who that is. I saw a picture of it. It looks ridiculous, and I was like, Nick Cage in a Batman movie? I would watch that. I would fucking watch that. His new movie's getting amazing reviews where he plays himself.
Yeah.
It's getting amazing. Like
it's the unbearable burden of what is the new one?
Being me or being myself or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where it just looks silly in a way that I can get behind. So yeah, that's my good. In terms of my bad, I've not seen anything worse than what I saw at Frightfest. Those movies were that Chris Severson one is bad, and it's going to get. The only reason it's getting that push now is because and they said at Frightfest it's on the upswing now for Christina Ricci's career because she did Yellow Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, the movie was supposed to go to streaming, but because she's popular again, they're pushing it theatrical. So.
Did you happen to see a movie called Deadstream?
It's not ringing a bell.
Okay. I don't know if it was at Fright Fest. I've just started to see some buzz about it being described as what if you did a found footage Evil Dead.
Oh.
Or specifically Evil Dead 2, that it's got that kind of goofy humor, but it's really kind of a splatter comedy sort of thing. And I was like, you have my attention. So
100%. And that I did see the horror comedy that played at there was 2 horror comedies that played at the festival. The one I would like highly recommend is a French movie called, and I've forgotten the name. I'll get the name before this finishes. I think it's
Movie.
Yeah, La Movie de Comédie.
Yeah.
And it was, and I will find it right now while I am padding for time. It was a horror comedy, Bo, that essentially, and I have no, it turns out it's in there. It was a horror comedy, Bo, and in this horror comedy world, it had humor, believe it or not.
Was there horror as well?
There was a little bit of horror to accompany. You're a bastard.
This so much.
This is the best conversation we've ever had, and I cannot find this fucking thing. I hate life right now. I did see the new Gaspar Noé movie that'll pad us.
I saw that you really liked it.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I need to see that.
It's like absolutely. It's the least Gaspar Noé movie that I've ever seen, whilst at the same time being the most Gaspar Noé movie I've ever seen. And that the entire movie is shot in that De Palma dual screen.
Oh, okay.
The entire movie, so it's from 2 characters' perspectives simultaneously all the way through the movie. And Argento, who is the lead actor in the movie, is fucking great. Like, absolutely great. The movie that I was looking for is Some Like It Rare, which I think might be out by the end of this month. Is a French cannibal comedy. And like, there is no way that, like, the way that I laughed and thought, Zombie for Sale was just just an incredible work of horror comedy.
Yeah,
this is on that level.
Okay, all right. I enjoy.
Really,
yeah,
you will love it. It's fucking hilarious, and it's really well done. And I thought it was great. So yeah, out with that, I have nothing to share. But what about yourself? What have you been watching?
Well, I'm going to use French movies as a transition.
Oh, nice.
To the good.
La transition,
as the French say.
Yes.
It's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's
like, have you ever seen a series of unfortunate events?
Yeah.
Like see Jim Carrey's character all the way through. I absolutely love Count Olaf. I think he's fucking hilarious. But there's a thing he does all the way through it where he's like that. He's like, he comes home, he's like, orphans, whereas why can't I smell dinner? And they're like, dinner? He's like, yeah, it was on the list of things to do. And they're like, all right. And he's like, so where's the roast beef? And she's like, roast beef? And he's like, yes, it's the French term for beef that is roasted.
Le roast beef.
Anyway,
yes.
What
back
have you
to
been
the
watching?
thing I saw.
French.
So yes, the French movie I saw. I finally caught up to Livid, which premiered on Shudder.
Only 10 years, 12 years, like after it was released in the UK.
Yeah, and so I don't want to spoil anything from Livid because you should just watch it and kind of go on that journey of what that movie is. But
it's literally what the guys from Inside made right after Inside.
Yeah, it's
so
bananas.
It's fucking great. So it's fucking great bananas.
Yeah, no, where you start in that movie and where you end in that movie is one of those things of like, wait, how did we get here again? Oh, right, okay. This thing and this thing and this thing. So the way that it's pitched on Shudder, and in fact, I had a bit of a conversation on the Discord channel with some of the people, like, the description of the movie kind of gives the movie away. And, and the description of the movie is you have a trio of people that sneak into this old woman's house who is an invalid, is basically unconscious, and on the hunt for buried treasure. That there's a treasure somewhere inside the house, and then spooky shit happens. And to say, like, in most movies that would be the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, that is entirely the first act of the movie.
Oh yeah, that's just you getting your foot in the door.
And then just absolute crazy shit begins popping off.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a bit of sort of a Midnight Mass of like, oh, that's what this is about. Like, like that you don't really know what's going on until you know what's going on. And then once you do, you're like, oh, okay, this all adds up now. Great effects work. It gets pretty gnarly at times. And it's just it's a fun movie. Like I still have my moments where I'm like, I don't know what this movie was about necessarily.
I would love to know from. I think this was a case of like Inside was a surprise hit for them, and then they were just given carte blanche to make a movie. And I think they wanted to do like a kind of gothic fairy tale a la their style.
Yeah.
And that's what comes out the back end. Like it's just as an absolute bonkers movie. The reason you guys have not seen it is because it was essentially acquired by a studio who were going to remake it. And it was shelved. So it was acquired by an American studio with the view to like keeping it. They used to do this with J-horror all the time. It's why so many of those J-horror movies didn't come out like until after like the remake of The Ring or after the remake of The Grudge, is because studios acquired them, held them there, got their American remake out first. And then those movies eventually found their way out. So, but that all kind of fell through, and it's just this is the frustrating thing. It's just lay on a shelf. And in a world where you can get almost instant access to anything, it wasn't that difficult to source online if you wanted to. But the fact you could just buy it from another country and have it imported as well, it just seemed like backwards to me. But it's like for a lot of people, I think, look at those guys and say, well, they did Inside, and then they did that Texas Chainsaw movie, which wasn't very good, and what happened to these great directors? And it's like, well, no, they have movies out there that are like worth tracking down. And it's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. It does have a couple of little blips, but for the most part, like it is one of those, like the aforementioned Evil Dead is like it's one of those ones where you strap yourself in for a ride and you end up on a roller coaster ride that you did not expect when you sat in the seat.
For sure.
So yeah, I think it's really good. Hopefully, more people will check it out.
Absolutely, and and Shudder's pushing it well enough, and so forth. But I need to go back and rewatch it just to follow that main character a little more, and like, okay,
yeah.
Are there hints to where she ends up in this movie? Because when that happened, I was like, all right.
Okay.
So there's that. But it's really good. It's really unusual. And it was one of those movies where throughout the film, I was like, I think I know where this is going. Oh, nope. Yeah. No, I don't. I don't know where this is going.
There's nods in it as well, in a way that I can kind of get behind, to something like The Drip, the Mario Bava short from Black Sabbath, Black Sunday, Black Sabbath, Black Sabbath.
Right. Yeah.
The Drip with the women in the bed and blood. So there's nods to that, specifically in the color work and all the rest, where those guys know, like those guys know their shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty of that. And like you said, they were coming off Inside, which is if you've never seen that movie before, is he sober in fucking Christmas movie? But yeah, like they had, like they took all that aesthetic of all those practical effects over it in the movie, and it benefits it so much. It's a tactile movie, you know what I mean, in the worst squidgy possible way. So I'm glad you finally saw it.
Yeah. Thanks to Shudder for bringing it to the
finally doing it.
So cheers to Shudder. But cheers to Shudder, Duncan.
Because this is like first it giveth, then it taketh away. What bad movie did you see on Shudder?
The Seed.
Right, this is right. I know so little about this. I've seen the Mark Kermode review of it, which was kind of fucking hilarious, where he was basically like, imagine, I can't remember what the movie said. He was like, imagine this movie but with boobs, and I was like, all right. I don't know if I want that. A body horror, alien, cosmos thing. Yeah?
Yeah, so basically, what if a trio of girls, one of which is completely intolerable and the other two are semi-tolerable, discover the Catter Puppy from House 2?
Oh, you have me in on Catter Puppy?
Well, it's not as adorable as Catter Puppy. It looks like a little slimy turtle that they find, that they originally think is dead, and then anyway, but it has like this hypno power where if you look at it, it makes you horny.
Oh, nice. That's what I call the Duncan effect, Bo.
Yeah. So anyway, it's definitely a movie that was shot with like, okay, we don't have a lot of money and we don't have a lot of locations. We got this house and we've got, a couple $100,000 for special effects so we can make this puppet. And also, it's almost like a level, like the Psycho Gorman level of effects, but without the tongue in cheek of that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that it's like, well, this looks pretty goofy and plasticky, but without all the charm of that. And it just takes so damn long to get anywhere. And by the time the movie's wrapping up, like, there are elements of body horror, but not a ton. Not really. And so I was a little disappointed by that being used as a descriptor, because it's like, it's mostly just this puppet that horns these girls up so that they want to make out with said puppet. And then so it's a little bit, I was going to say Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but nobody's body gets snatched really. But it does create like it's like they become like sort of sexually addicted to this thing. But again, it just takes so. I mean, it's only a 90-minute movie, but it felt way longer than that.
Yeah,
It spins its wheel too much. And again, like you were saying, if you've ever seen a horror movie ever, you're like, I know how this is gonna end.
That's the problem. I think there's now we saw, and it's about to come on Shudder. I think The Cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like Incomings. We saw that at Frightfest, and like my like we were talking about it afterwards. It was the last movie. It was a closing movie, and I was like, yeah, if you've never seen Hellraiser or The Beyond before, yes, it's a completely original, fresh idea. However, if you have seen those movies before, I think there's a moment in it where one of the characters even says, it's our fault we opened the box. And it's like, there is no box. It's a house, but she refers to it as the box. And I'm like, were we just taking lines from Hellraiser? I mean, like, what the fuck?
I was copying pasting and I forgot to change.
Honestly, it feels so much. It feels so much like that's the. It's not a terrible. Once again, it's not a terrible. It'll clean up on Shudder. It'll do so well on Shudder.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, yeah, Shudder has its casual people that want to check out horror movies and they watch them on Saturday nights, whatever. But they also have the hardcore fans. And if you are a hardcore fan sitting down, is that way the same way that I felt watching The Void, where it's like, oh, well, this just reminds me of much better movies that I'd much rather be watching. The Cellar is exactly the same. It is just, it's a little from this movie, a little from this movie, a little from this movie, all put together in a cocktail shaker, strained out in a glass and served. You know what I mean? But those like constituent elements themselves are better than the cocktail that you've been served.
There was I don't know that I'm gonna be able to find the name of this movie. There was a movie I saw forever ago, maybe called The Item.
All right,
hold on, I'm gonna
you'll find out.
No, for sure. Okay. So, there was a movie called The Item, and I was reminded of that, and it is not a very good movie. Don't ever watch The Item. But it's the whole idea is that it's kind of a Tarantino ripoff, where it's a bunch of young criminals who steal this thing in a box, and they open the box, and it's this little puppet that talks to them in a very like, hey, you're I know that you're a low-level thug, but I think the others in your group are trying to swindle you. Maybe that
turns
kind of
turns them against each other. Yeah,
that kind of thing. And it reminded me a lot of The Item, this movie, the scene, and it's not a 1-to-1, but it's a lot closer than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So but that's. On the one hand, I'm like, I did not enjoy this movie, but also you gave me Livid this month, so I'm not complaining.
That's like Shudder is still this year alone is still giving like incredible quality. There's a lot of stuff that is ending up there this year, which is going to be fucking great. So, and the thing is, like, you didn't like that movie from the description. I won't like that movie. There are people out there that will love that movie, and that's what they do. They do that, like, their curation side of what they put on their channel is surprisingly balanced.
Yeah. And I like the fact that these movies have a home. Like, I'm not, like, I don't really care for The Seed, but it's a step up from, like, well, here's some garbage you can find on Tubi.
Amazon Prime. Prime that has like about 1 million found footage movies that literally look like they were shot during lockdown with no idea at all. So yeah, there's tons of those. Speaking of just us about to transition, so this is a terrible segue. This is a pre-segue. So there we go. It's probably worth saying there's been some interesting, exciting news out there, Bo.
Oh my God! Yes. Yeah.
Teased? Interested? Excited? True Detective, Bo.
Oh, I thought.
4.
No. I thought you were talking about.
Where did you think I was going?
Season 5.
Oh no, we've already we
okay.
discussed that in the last episode, and then I had to like bathe myself in purifying liquids to try and get the stink off that news. Yeah, no, True Detective. So like HBO, we knew they were still working on something, even though Nick Pizzolatto had exited that to go and work on something else with Matthew McConaughey, and then Matthew McConaughey had removed himself from that project, and I think it's now marooned at Fox, which technically means it's marooned at Disney. Yeah. So like I don't know what's happening there, but HBO, they're powering on with their idea for a True Detective season 4. But the big news that came out, and news that had me harder than a slab of granite, is that Elsa Lopez, director of Tigers Are Not Afraid, is writing and I believe directing this season. I don't know if she's doing the whole thing, but even if she does 1 or 2 but writes the fucking thing, we are in safe hands, my friend. We are in safe hands. And you know what made me even happier is the fact that she's getting the HBO rub.
Yeah.
That is going to be great for her career. It gets her a good solid amount of money behind her. If that does well, maybe she will become an executive producer on any season of True Detective after that, which is just bank.
Yeah.
So could not be happier. Not be happier.
Issa Lopez is the best. Like her Twitter is hilarious.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know who her wine friend is that she talks about all the time. That neighbor of hers that's constantly like having these weird conversations. But Issa Lopez, I mean, just another shout out if you are listening to this and have never seen Tigers Are Not Afraid.
So good.
It is Guillermo del Toro with a different perspective.
Yeah, less. I would say less whimsy.
kind of less. I mean, there's that fairy tale aspect to it for sure, but man, what just a heartbreaking, wonderful, wonderful movie that is, and just based on that alone, it's like when what is the director of the Babadook's name?
Jennifer Kent.
It's like when she did that, it was like whatever you want to do from now on, you have earned a right.
It turns out our follow-up movie really fucking
The
good
Nightingale,
as well.
Yeah,
it turns out she can direct.
Right.
But
turns out she's a very good director, yeah.
And that was like another Frightfest story. That was the exciting thing for me is there was 4 Irish movies played at it. Ireland just now like is on fire with horror content. It's fucking good. It's all folk horror as well. It's all brilliant.
Oh, great.
But of the 4 directors, 3 of them women.
Great.
First-time directors as well in all 3 movies. Great.
I was having this conversation literally earlier today about how exciting it is that between the female voices that you're getting now, starting with like Jennifer Kent. I mean, not starting with her. There were female directors before that, but But in terms of just this modern era of horror, that she really kind of kicked the door in with like, not only am I a female director, this is a movie very much about motherhood and relationships with children and stuff like that. Really, really interesting. And then Jordan Peele and Nia DaCosta recently with Candyman, and I mean, just the list goes on and on and on for these fascinating directors that are finally giving you all these different perspectives. That if you're a horror fan right now, there, even if you don't respond to like Saint Maud, like that movie may not be for you, but it is so worthwhile to have those kinds of voices out there.
Yeah, another first-time director. Like this is what is so exciting just now, and all 3 of those movies were in a similar bubble in terms of they dealt with like kind of Irish folk tales and folk horror. But the one in particular, which in fact all 3 of them, there's one called Mandrake, which I highly recommend. It's like a Irish witchcraft story, fucking great. You Are Not My Mother. Fucking brilliant, and that's another one that kind of deals with like the Fae, replacement, kind of like the Hole. So it's kind of like that, really fucking well done. And the other one is escaping me just now, but it was another kind of folk horror-y, really, really, really fucking good. And this, all exciting, and all three of the women are basically saying, yeah, we're, it's the like the way the kind of film there's like a film lottery over there, like grant funds things and all the rest. And they're all like that. Yeah, they're now at the stage now that they're like, well, the purse strings have been loosened enough, and it's like almost like a rota of who gets awarded a grant. And it just so happened that like all three of these ladies were like had like cut their teeth doing other stuff that it was their turn to do it, and all three of them, guess what, stepped up and fucking delivered. So it's a good time, man.
Have you seen, speaking of Shudder and some folk horror and witchcraft, have you seen Hellbenders?
I have not, but I've heard that I will love it.
Dude, it is so good. It is a really, really strong movie.
I need the time, Bo.
Sure, yeah.
Someone needs to give me I need to buy some time.
Yeah, one thing money can't buy.
They can't buy me anything, Bo.
Can't buy me love. Duncan, enough of talking about things that
we've had so much fun.
Yeah,
let's not spoil it. Let's just skip over what we would have been discussing in this episode.
We could do a 3-sentence summary of what happened in this episode and be fine. But
this is the epitome of padding for time.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Like you showrunners are the ones that have put at this is on a streaming site. It doesn't have to be 8 episodes long. If this is a 6-episode arc, make it a 6-episode arc.
Yeah, I look, you don't get paid if you don't get paid. You get paid by episode, apparently. So, Duncan, let's get into this. This is episode 4 of Slasher season 4. Where
4 left after this.
Yeah, we've only got 4 to go.
We've only just begun to leave.
Oh man, 1408's so good. Sorry. That's another good horror movie that we won't be talking about.
This is not.
Yeah. It's called Upstairs Downstairs, which is of course a reference to the classism present in this episode.
We really delve into it with a real nuanced level of
all the nuance
detail.
Of an Aaron Martin. Yeah.
And can I just stress on this? Is this the first episode where our orphan Pika kid, we've established that she speaks like a caveman?
I think so, and also I stand by my orphan theory even more so than I did before this episode.
I don't know. I can't go with you on this one. She is. I'm now thinking that it's she's not classing her as Pika might just be. It might be unfair. I think she's a Neanderthal and just everything. She just wants very much like my 6-month my 6-month-old child at the moment. Anything she sees, she wants to try and eat it.
Yeah.
I think this is. I don't know. She started talking and I was like, "There's something. What the fuck is Is that how she talks?" Her dad said that she was holding down really interesting conversations online. Is this how she talks?
But the conversations were all fire bad.
It's literally just like fucking Captain Caveman.
That's right, honey. Fire is bad.
Try to eat a hot coal.
Good.
It's honestly, I was like, this is a weird detail to be giving us. But then I thought maybe I've just not given a fuck about this character and maybe it's been established elsewhere. But you didn't know, so that's fine.
Yeah. One thing before we dive into this, one thing that I always enjoy doing this live on video is how much I delight in the little dog steps leading up to your couch.
Oh yeah. But I have small dogs.
Yeah,
I have this. The only way, it's the only way they can get up on the couch is they physically have to walk up steps.
Yeah, I just love it so much. And then there's you have a big dog, Bo, who can reach your couch. Yeah,
but my dogs can't. If my 3 dogs combined like a Voltron, they would be still half the size of what you've got.
Yeah. I would love to see also your dogs Voltron together to form a larger dog. That would
It would
also
just be
make
like
me
that
happy.
thing from The Thing where they open the door and it's like half a dog head hanging it. And there's not. That's literally what it would look like. Two
Get
chihuahuas and a pug.
get the flamethrower. Um. Anyway, so this episode begins on a dark and stormy night. I had just taken a creative writing class.
Yeah.
And it's in the like O'Keefe and Dawn are hanging
This is
out in the
them
living
right
room.
after, like, so the previous episode, they left the room.
Uh-huh.
Robin came in. His heart had grown 3 sizes in that small, like clue corridor, and he'd come in and he peeked down and was stabbed in the eye. So he got stabbed in the eye by the killer. And then we didn't see what happened, but they had left together. And it turns out when they were leaving together, that was code for let's go and get a drink, which I am 100% with. And what we're following, like, basically the extension of the conversation in there, where Dawn is like, listen, like, I love him. He's fucking goofy. You know, I really like all this money stuff's behind us. This booze is great. We're getting off this island. We're getting the fuck out of here, and life will be good.
Yeah, and once again, Paula Branchetti, hero.
Oh, she's brilliant. This whole episode, like, she's easily the best actress. Like 100 times better than anyone else around her.
Yeah, I've come around from, you know, her characters being kind of irritating to the fact that she is just such a good actor that she can play those roles.
She's got range.
Yeah,
she like actually physically has range where the rest of them don't.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, she's just like, if we lost everything, that would actually be a net positive, because then we wouldn't have to worry about this stupid family. We wouldn't have to be beholden to David Cronenberg's money. This would all be great. And then the orphan wanders in and just starts eating a cork that
she lifts a cork and starts eating it, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, you paid for this child?
It's like, no, honey, you can't eat that cork. I need it to stop up this bottle because I'm gonna drink the rest later. And then the orphan is like, I want to sleep with daddy.
As literal, that's not far off how she talks, by the way. This is like a fucking ludicrous character, honestly.
And O'Keefe is like, no, little orphan. we can't do that because your mommy and daddy need to have a grown-up conversation. So how about we have a sleepover here in the living room? And she's like, oh, daddy. Like, yeah, but we'll tell stories.
I do love the idea that she's channeling an old school reference to Leo Steen from Twin Peaks.
You're right.
It's the same voice. I love the fact it's the same voice.
Anyway, Dawn goes back to her room where she discovers Robin now fixed with spikes to a window.
How much time did the killer have here? Because this is
efficiency.
And I'm going to also say, I want to say, just leading to the fact that I think medical knowledge. So, both eyes removed.
Death.
Yeah, cut in the middle, right through, and then pinned to a fucking wall with like railroad spikes.
And his lower half, Duncan, just gone, just MIA.
Yeah, gone. Yeah, we don't know where it is either, and there's no blood trail or anything like that. I imagine in fact, maybe this is the orphan. Maybe she ate it. She got too full. And that's why she went to go eat a cork to stop herself. Plug it up.
Daddy.
And it wasn't sleep beside dad, it was midnight snack.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to it in a minute. I have evidence. Anyway, for the court. But Dawn, comes in to see this.
Yeah.
And just starts screaming. And there's a quick transition where suddenly everyone's in the room now.
Yeah, like Afra comes running in, and she's like a mixture of hungry and disgusted in the same range, Bo.
That was kind of my reaction to it too. I was like, you throw this on a grill for like 5 minutes, you're good. Brown it on both sides. And Dawn rightly wheels on all of the others and is
every single one of them. She's like, you know whose fault it is? Every single motherfucking one of you.
She calls them all greedy fuckers,
which
is great. Like, she tears into this family.
Yep.
And very pointedly, Vincent is pretty casual about finding the dead torso.
Yeah, everyone's screaming and panicking and all the rest, and Vincent's like 2 steps away from flicking a coin on a corner. Honestly, he's like so horizontally chill about everything. It's like he's like 2 steps away from checking. He's like up checking the old watch to make sure the blood pressure hasn't knocked heart's at the right rate.
Yep, still under 60.
Yeah, it's
Vincent
like
is in good shape.
he's a Hannibal Lecter of this after the census taker questioned him. You know, like it's like he ate the nurse's face, his pulse didn't raise beyond 60. That is Vincent. Vincent is so like, I've seen worse on the mean streets. This happens all the time on the mean streets of Toronto, guys.
The mean streets of Toronto.
And it's like, I don't know what everyone's getting so worked up with, but yeah, and Theo's kind of taking the lead on, listen, none of us are playing this game anymore. We're all getting the fuck out of here. We are just going to get out this room and group together and get a plan. But yeah, this is like, we're over it. And it's not shared by everyone because there's still some greedy motherfuckers, Bo, as pointed by Dawn.
Yeah, Florence, Vincent, they're into it. Ultimately, surprisingly, O'Keefe is. Like, she has some turns in this episode where I'm like, really? You're on board with this?
Yeah, but like, she's not a well-written character, so...
Yeah.
Like, she really is she's one of the level of detail we went in writing this character is non-binary. That is literally it. Like, out with that, we can just make her do anything and no one will question it because it's so shallow. There's more water in a teaspoon than there is in terms of actual full character development per volume in the whole of her body. It's just like there's fucking nothing there. She's like she's dead behind the eyes, Bo, like a shark.
Doll's eyes. So they ultimately decide, like, hey, we need to go back into the living room to look at this CRT TV that we have from the 1960s, where David Cronenberg continues to do his Brewster's Millions bit.
Yeah, he's by this point in the recording, he's had a few whiskeys and he's feeling chipper.
Him tearing into his family of just like, you guys suck.
He's the bottom line is he's like that. Like, congratulations if you have survived. By the end of this game, most of these won't be here, but guess what? That's because you're bottom feeders and losers, and bottom feeders and losers are nothing that I am even remotely interested in. So fuck the lot of yous, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and a fuck you. But in the meantime, Dawn grabs the heaviest candlestick that she can see, which the only reason you would buy a candlestick like this is if you were in Clue or you wanted to murder someone.
It's called Cluedo in some places.
Over here. And she fucking smashes the fuck at this TV, which makes me wonder, are we going to wheel a new TV in for more David Cronenberg, or is this the last, is there I anticipated that someone would smash the telly, so I'm now over the tannoy system. I don't know why we've done this so early. I can understand why she's done it, but she mauls this telly. And David Cronenberg's happy face. Well, it's never happy. That's the problem. It's kind of like this.
Yeah, and the orphan, of course, cries a bunch. And Florence, the worst of the kids, is the
worst person. And is she the worst character in Slasher?
I mean, she's up there.
I think she's up there. I think you could easily make a case she's the least likable, most despicable character in Slasher, and that's including the neo-Nazi racist from the season before.
Yeah.
I would rather spend time with him than I would spend time with this woman.
I was thinking, what about the prison rapist Glenn?
Glenn was, well, I was going to say it was fun. It was never fun. We saw a softer side of Glenn.
Yeah, that's true. But which
I
also
have yet to see, and I don't think we ever will see a softer side of this woman.
Right. Yeah, she's just a terrible artist. Anyway, so when everybody is like, you know what, maybe it's best that we just call all this off. Like, David Cronenberg may have arranged all these murders, and Florence is like, what are you talking about? He just he would never do that. He loves us. He's our, like, we're his children. And O'Keefe is the one who's like, you have some pretty selective hearing when it comes to like him talking about all the people who are gone now.
Yeah.
And then Liv, who by the way is still out in the roaming the woods somewhere, Florence is like, it's probably her that's killing everyone. Like she has training to murder people because of her background in the military.
Which makes her either a killer or the final girl. That's literally her. Like that's the qualifications. You know who else has some training, Bo? Dr. Death.
So, and Grace, the now widow, is like, well, it's probably you, Florence. And Theo, trying to calm everyone down, is like, look, we all just need to stay together and get through this, and forget this competition, everything. Let's stay together. Let's be cool.
But you don't want to get involved in a conversation like that, because then very quickly it's like, well, maybe it's you, Theo, because you're the one that won't let us leave.
Right. And so Grace ends up just being like, I'm going to go to my bedroom. Liv's mom decides she's going to take off.
Yeah.
Florence and O'Keefe are like, we're going to go find a bedroom that we can find lock the door. And so everybody just disperses.
Yeah, everyone doesn't listen to Theo.
Right. And so it's about time for a flashback.
I mean, it is quite long into the episode before there's a surprising. Actually, all the flashbacks in this fucking episode suck so much. Because they're all designed to make you just remember that every single character in this show is fucking awful, including David Cronenberg, who's going to make an appearance here once again, rocking another questionable hair dye job here.
Oh my! So
did these shit you dye his hair once, you shoot all his scenes in one day, you don't give him a chance to shower because it changes the color.
And also, he's still got the same craggy old man David Cronenberg face.
He literally walks in here like he is like fucking Jigsaw.
Yeah.
He's like, listen here, Grace. It's not Grace, it's Liv's mom.
Yeah.
Whatever her name is. Listen here, you have two choices. Yeah, listen here, Liv's mom. You have two choices. It's like literally because when the flashback is she's given birth to Liv.
Yeah.
So Liv is in her arms. Cronenberg walks in. She's all happy. She's in that post I've given a baby glow thing and all the rest. And Cronenberg walks in, dismisses the nurse. And the first thing she says she's like, that you scram. Hit the street. And he sits down and she's like, do you want to see your granddaughter? And he's like, listen here, Liv's mom. You have two choices. I want to play a game. The first choice, and this is the one we suspected right from the start, actually. Yeah. So it's good to know that, once again, Duncan and Bo could write this show without context. Was, listen, you've got two choices. You can bring up Liv as your own, and I will pay all her education, right? But she will never know that she's a Galloway, nor, and the other thing is, I will never acknowledge her as a relative. Or, so that's the first one, full education paid for her. Seems like but no family out with her. Or, what we can do is, you can try and make a claim that she is a Galloway, which I imagine is just purely a DNA test, but that she is a Galloway. But in doing so, you'll be fired. We will fight custody for her. We will get custody of her. You will never see your fucking child again. And I will raise her as my granddaughter. What's the one you want to choose?
Also, I will destroy you.
Yeah, what he said. Yeah, it becomes Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Scorched earth, motherfucker! I will fuck you up. And she's like, and guess what? Turns out she chose to be part of her daughter's life after all, and not tell her that she's a Galloway, because they're all fucking awful people, Bo. Yeah.
But all right, so then Vincent and Theo are in the bedroom. Like, we cut away from that flashback. Yeah. They're in the bedroom with Robin
having an incest argument, which, I mean, well, no, that hasn't happened yet.
That doesn't happen yet, because it
is coming up though, and it's fucking.
This whole thing is like Vincent and Theo talking about how they're twins and that they have this relationship, and Vincent's
Well,
like,
Theo's convinced, like Theo's convinced they have like they're twinning, hashtag twinning. And like Vincent is just like, no, like I don't fucking feel or think or know anything that you're feeling just now. Theo's like, can you feel it, brother? Can you feel
and
can you feel it?
Vincent, meanwhile, yanks this body down. It flops onto Theo.
Yeah.
And
Theo loses his cool here, becomes very kind of like, get it off!
Get it off! Get it off! Well, and then, but all right. So Vincent has no time for this reaction, but also, like, Theo doesn't, he gives an explanation of like, well, Robin was almost like a father to me because we didn't really know our father. We didn't have a relationship with him. And
he got me into music. Let me tell you the great music he got me into. He got me into opera. He got me into George Michael, because we have to mention that again, and the Stooges. And he's like, he doesn't look like a Stooge. Yeah, he totally loved the Stooges. I'm like, did he? Did he totally love the Stooges?
That's fine if he did or it didn't.
I don't think he did. Yeah, I don't like.
It's hard to be both a George Michael fan and a Stooges fan. I'm not saying it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
And I think for someone who loved George Michael that much.
Yeah, well, like so much so that your father is making conversation about it at the dinner table. Yeah. Your father, that has no interest in you or the rest of your family, has taken time out of his busy schedule of fucking over the world to sit down at a dinner table and go, my son likes George Michael. This is a conversation we have to have.
Stupid. Anyway, so like Vincent just has no sympathy for any of this, despite the fact that like just having a torso dumped on you, regardless of your relationship to it. Yeah. Even if it were a stranger's torso, still disturbing.
We're going to get the reason. By the end of this episode, we finally solved the mystery of, we've solved the initial mystery of who kidnapped Vincent. That'll be wrapped up in the most dumb way ever. But it does add an additional detail on it as to the involvement of David Cronenberg, like relatively at the start, but
yes, very quickly,
we will get a flashback for Vincent where we realize how fucked up his life was being, and because it has to be, because, like you said, like he pulls down a severed body and doesn't seem to be all that bothered.
Right, like it's like he worked for a death squad somewhere.
Like he'd done like 2 tours in the Congo or something.
Yeah. So, and this is all red herring territory. Like, it's setting him up to be the villain, which he is not.
100% not the villain.
Speaking of villains, Duncan, we cut to the orphan crying.
It's not the orphan either.
Crying to Dawn. And Dawn's like tucking her head. She's like, "Where, Daddy?" Yeah. And
Afro smash.
Dawn puts like the chair under the door to protect him. And this is
she's just going to eat that chair, Bo. I mean, like this is the thing. Like, she's going to eat that chair.
She's going to eat that chair. She's going to eat that chair. That was an old Beatles song. And this is the first time where she talks like a real, like Orphanstein, where she does it. Why they do that to Daddy?
That's literally how she talks as well. I can't stress this enough. Like, also, this is how they've written her.
Yeah.
They're like, it's just like, cause like to show that she's like educationally stunted or whatever, we'll just take out every third word in a sentence. I mean, it is so fucking stupid.
It delighted me so much. When you got more Orphan speak in this, I was just, knee slapping my way through this episode. It was so funny. And Dawn is like, why they do that to Daddy? Because these people are fucking awful. And that's why we've got to get out of here. Like, come light, we're going to get off this island.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting off the island, we finally catch up to Liv, who we haven't seen in a while. And she is actually out on the last time we saw her, she was running off because Vincent was being a creep.
That's right.
And so now she has discovered this rowboat on a beach, but unfortunately, there's a hole in the boat. Dear Liza,
I knew you were going to do that, man. I fucking you like see, so you said there was a whole. I was like that. If he doesn't do this, I will think less of him.
I'm glad I could help you,
Yeah.
or I could reinforce your opinion of me. Anyway, so she basically drags it to the boat dock or the boathouse while the killer watches. And as she's kind of examining the boat and trying to figure out if it can be repaired, the killer attacks.
Yeah.
And in the most action-packed sequence of the episode,
Yeah.
the killer is kind of slicing. She's bending backwards like the Matrix and stuff.
She gets a couple of punches in, a couple of good licks in on the killer, but the killer ultimately slashes her arm and the back of her leg.
And so she takes
which kind of hobbles her a little bit, but not enough to make her not sprint up to the house and like do like Rick Moranis from Gremlins and banging on all the windows to let me in. You know, like where he's like
Ghostbusters. Rick Moranis.
Ghostbusters, not Gremlins. No, not Gremlins. Not Gremlins. It was Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is what I meant. It's
all
still
right.
very funny.
That's
a good impression.
Yeah, still a good impression.
Thank you. He was like banging on, like, and she's hitting all the, like, oh, no one's answering because they're in lockdown just now because there's a murderer out there. And, like, would I open the door if I heard a lot of banging and a lot of commotion? No, Bo, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, so she finds like a
cellar window or something.
Like something rolls into that, and she looks up and she's like, I suppose someone has to do this at some point where she's looking at the killer and she's like, who are you? As if the killer's going to go, it is I, the doctor. Like, it's such a fucking stupid question.
Who are you?
What we even do?
Batman.
Yeah, a Batman. But like the killer like takes a knife, scrapes it across the window, doing a Z because it's Zorro. And she's like, oh, and then she turns around and who's at the top of the stairs, Bo? Because she hears noises. Yeah. He hears noises as if the killer's managed to get access to the house. Clump, 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 clump. And then the door opens and it's Vincent. Once again, the show has an erection for trying to make you think it's Vincent who's the killer. It's not Vincent.
It is not. And she says, like, what are you doing down here all suspicious like? And he's like, oh, I just came down here to get good booze.
Yeah, which, to be honest, I mean, this is the most connected I've ever been to the Vincent character ever. I'm like, I would be doing that. There's a cellar full of fucking good booze, and we're upstairs drinking whatever's in that. I'm getting the good booze.
And he says, like, when he was a kid, he would play down there all the time and that kind of thing. And so, cut to them upstairs with Liv describing, like, here's how I got here. I was chased by the killer. Also, Vincent was right there at the cellar door after I heard these footsteps. And there are more accusations flying around, like, I think it was you, and just the family turn on each other. And Liv says that she's going to continue to compete in the family games.
Well, she didn't compete in the previous game, which they think disqualifies her, which also was my understanding. However, yeah, they're just making up the rules now. They're like, yeah, but she took on the killer, which means she can totally come back in.
But there's no one to enforce the rules anymore because
Dr. Death isn't there. That's right. So,
and David Cronenberg's TV got smashed. So,
well, yeah, he can't come back and say, oh, by the way, addendum to the rules. He can't do that. Like he's gone. But like, so they have a kind of a pissing contest to see whether or not she's going to be in it. It's kind of agreed. Maybe that she's going to take part in it, and then Grace takes not Grace either. Liv's mom takes Liv to the. We should really get her name. And takes her to. It's fine. We don't need to worry about it after the end of this episode. Spoilers. So he takes her to one room, and then the entire Theo side of the family hunkered in a room and decide to speak very loudly about their plans to essentially take down Liv and her mum.
All right, well, let's not forget the completely unimportant yet hilarious flashback.
Well, this is why I forgot about it, Bo.
to Christmas morning, where you see Theo and Vincent and like all the kids opening gifts and
arguing how shitty their big presents are.
Yeah, this is the death laser. I wanted the super special death laser, and the Florence is like, but I got you the most expensive one. And, that's not the one I wanted. And meanwhile, David Cronenberg gets
and the biggest dick move I've ever seen in my honestly, this right now. I hate the fact that he's in this show because like I mentioned, I don't know if any of the listeners caught it right at the start. This show's slowly making me hate David Cronenberg, the person, because I am a person that likes to think he exercises great quality control, and he is in this show, right? Which to me makes me think he didn't.
But
for
maybe
whatever reason.
It's just so he could be in this scene, which is one of the most hilariously cruel things you could do to a child.
Let me put it this way: any show you've ever, any interpretation of Scrooge, any version of Oliver Twist you've ever seen, anything that has done anything to a child before, pales in comparison to what David Cronenberg does in this scene, and how fucking flippant he is when he does it. Like, he might as well have just sat down after this and licked his finger and drawn a Cronenberg 1 The World Zero. That is literally what he should. It's so fucking cold. But he goes under the tree and he's like, there is a present here from Liv. And she's like, oh my God, because she's looking around and everyone's opening huge presents.
Yeah.
And even
this
Liv's
looks
mom's
it's almost like a bracelet or jewelry size box.
It looks like jewelry. Yeah. It looks like jewelry. It's like that, but looks can be deceiving. Let me tell you a little story about when I turned 30, Bo. When I turned 30, one of my former friends, not a friend now, arrived with my birthday present, which I for all intents and purposes, very well gift wrap, looked like an expensive bottle of whiskey. You know, you get them in those kind of steel tubes, and it looked like and I was like, oh my God, he's went out, he spent good money because it's in a chip. And I unwrapped it and realized he'd bought me a fleshlight, which also comes in a steel tube for anyone that hasn't bought one before. And I kind of thought, I'm so glad that you bought me a male masturbator when I live with my fiance, who's right beside me while I'm opening this present. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, it's a true story, by the way, that actually happened. But yeah, so she gets this thing, she unwraps it, and it's a kind of steel case. And Bo, you know what? Our eyes grew a little bit bigger, and I was like, God damn Cronenberg, heart of fucking ice is melted. What? The old man, maybe he's finally acknowledging he's not doing it officially, but he's done the right thing. And she opens it, and it's one of those geometry sets that you get when when you're studying.
It's like a protractor and a ruler, a compass, and stuff like that.
A ruler, a pencil, and all the rest. And she kind of looks at it, and she's like, and he's like, yeah, it's German. It's very well made, and I heard you weren't doing very well at maths, so. There you go.
Here is the worst Christmas present imaginable. Something to help you, stupid.
Yeah, literally, basically, you're not great at maths, so here's something that costs £3. And yeah, it'll help you be better at maths. And let me now sit down on the couch smugly and let me look at your mother, just emphasizing the point that even 7 or 8 years on from that awkward conversation on the bed, I meant every fucking word I said.
Yeah. If you thought that I was going to someday accept her, let this gift be a lesson to you both.
Yeah.
That I look down on both of you. And the one thing I will be always happy to do is to point out how she has continued to fail all of us.
And pay for her education, Bo.
Yeah. Yeah.
With math tools.
Yeah. It's so funny.
It's so fucking bro. There's a scene that once again will go one step further, later on. Which once again, we're gonna talk about this next scene as well, right? Because there's one part where I see this and I'm like that. Right, she's a maid, right? Cronenberg is paying for her education. I didn't hear anything in the terms and conditions that said that she had to remain on the fucking island.
Yeah. Right. We'll get into all of this because it don't make no sense.
It doesn't hang together. Yeah. It doesn't hang. But the next clip certainly doesn't fucking hang together. But so this is the flashback, just reminding everyone that David Cronenberg, prick.
Yeah.
But also amazing.
So in addition to that flashback, we get this scene with Liv and her mom, where she's like sewing Liv's, or Grace is who's sewing Liv's wounds up. And Theo ends up asking her, like, hey, why'd you run off? And she was like, look, Vincent was being a complete creep.
Yeah.
And Grace says, oh, yeah, well, that tracks, because Vincent's always been kind of a piece of shit. And by the time I came into the family, he was too far gone. Like, he was a bad kid from jump. I had no time to influence him, to nudge him into being a decent person.
Yeah, and we will get a little indicator of, like, because we'd already seen him run around trying to kill his brother in the first flashback episode, like, and also like calling him a pussy, throwing a rock at him, and then getting abducted. So we already kind of knew he was a bit of a dick.
Yeah,
but he takes it to like Salem witch trial levels coming up.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Holy fucking shit.
So Theo then goes to confront Vincent about what Liv told him about, like,
this is the incest conversation that I had earlier on, like, which is just all fucking shades of wrong.
Well, and at no point are they discussing it like, oh, now that we know that she's like our cousin.
Yeah, like she's a blood relative.
Yeah,
we should now be taking her off the table.
Right. Instead, the conversation isn't like, oh, by the way, we would end up having a baby with its heart born on the outside if we ended up.
Yeah, we'd end up having an Afra. Let's not have an Afra.
We would get an orphan. Instead of that, it's Vincent giving Theo shit about, like, you were always a coward. You were always too afraid to take, what you want. And I spent my whole life having to fight for the stuff that you got handed. And so now that I'm back, I'm going to take what's rightfully mine, including the money, and if I want to, live. And
we're gonna take your woman, Outlander.
Outlander, we have your woman. Oh, Courtney Gaines, we're the world is not good enough for you. But all right, so we've established that they're both down for this incestuous relationship with Liv. And then it's just a competition between them now as to who can have this.
No, once again, in classic fashion, no one sits there and contemplates that Liv might not be into either one of them.
Right? Oh no, not for a second. No. It's not up to her. So then we get the scene that I'm going to put in my pamphlet entitled "Why the Orphan is in on this." Where Dawn wakes up because the orphan wakes up screaming, "Her!" And she's like, "What is it, honey?" And she's like, "I've been bad." And she's like, No, you're a good girl." And she's like, "I don't know about that. Orphan bad." And then Dawn, because Florence earlier in the episode was like,
This is a piece of shit, dude. Honestly, this whole fucking, like, she is not married to this guy and does not know.
Right. Well, the implication is that Florence is like, did Robin ever tell you that he was gay? She doesn't say that outright.
No, she's like about her little secret, and she's like, I know that he had another kid, right? I understand. Like, you're not fooling anyone here. I know that. And she's like, well, that's not the thing that you didn't know. And I was thinking to myself, you've physically been in the Cronenberg household before, Dawn, which means there's absolutely no way, shape or form that David Cronenberg hasn't just out and out said, my son is a homosexual. That is like 100%. Like, there's whispers like amongst the family or whatever. She's privy to that information before this conversation. But no. Apparently, your Robin never gave any indication. None at all.
Yeah, you're right. Like, David Cronenberg would have given a very pointed gift at Christmas.
The first day he met her, as he was shaking her hand, he would have given her a calculus set because, like, she's dumb. Like, even though she's not, here's your calculus set. By the way, my son is gay.
Yeah. So Dawn asked the orphan, like, hey, is there anything about Daddy I should know? And she says, miss Daddy? And she's like, I know, I miss him too. And then, the orphan just starts crying again. So then this is the scene you were referencing earlier where Liv's
Where they
mom,
devise a plan to get
yeah,
rid of the help, so to speak, but do it so loudly in the adjacent room. This might as well have been over a tannoy fucking system.
yeah. So Liv's mom goes into like those passages, the people under the stairs passages that are all
Yeah.
through this house, and listens in on this plot against her and Liv. And Theo is the only one who's like, are we sure that we want to go for mob justice here?
Yeah.
But like I was saying earlier, this is the scene where O'Keefe is like, I don't know, it seems like, this is all kind of fishy. And you're like, O'Keefe, you were just like talking to Dawn about how terrible this family is.
Yeah. And now
And
she's all in.
yeah, I don't understand why O'Keefe is
No.
down for this. Anyway.
Well, I understand this is bad writing, Bo.
Yeah, right. Just there's no consistency to her character at all.
No.
And so Liv's mom goes to Liv and is like, these bitches are gonna kill us. So we need to get out of here. And Liv, this is the point where Liv is like, oh yeah, I found this boat. I need to repair it, but I just need a night's sleep. What with getting stabbed and all.
Yeah.
Give me a night to kind of chill out. Tomorrow morning, we'll get up first thing. I'll patch the boat. We'll get out of here.
And Liv's mum decides that this is the perfect time to sing an abduction carol, like a little nursery rhyme that you would use when abducting a child. Like, it is so fucking stupid, man. Unfucking believably badly written. Like, this is like when we come on the call at the beginning here, I said to you, I fucking hate this show. And this is the reason I hate this show. It seems like it's getting dumber every season.
Yeah. Like they're running out of ideas and they weren't that good to start with.
Yeah, this is so because I just don't know. Like, this is how we're going to get a review.
So we've got one more flashback to deal with, or two.
An important flashback to deal with, because this one involves like arson and almost murder.
So in Vincent, all right, because so the scene before, as Liv's mom is telling her like, we need to get out of here. And Liv is like, no. Theo is cool. And she's like, are you sure about that? Because he might stand up for you, but also you remember this. And
also, I said in the previous episode, I am almost 100% convinced that Theo is going to turn out bad at the end. I'm almost convinced at this stage now, because his brother, like Vincent, also said a thing like that. You always put on the nice guy persona to try and win people over, whilst I just, I take what I want. But you're always trying to put that in the line, but you're like me, but we just do things differently. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's 100% a revelation somewhere down the road that Theo is bad. He's bad news, and he's playing Liv for whatever purpose, even if it is in his idea the best intentions. But there's something rotten about all of them.
So Vincent and Theo have Liv tied to a tree.
Yes.
And Theo, in fairness, so there's a bunch of like kindling and brush at her feet, and they're trying to essentially burn her at the stake, like you were saying.
Yes.
And Vincent is clearly leading the charge on this, but Theo also is in on it.
Yeah, he isn't actively. And what's it like? Liv is how old in this?
Oh, what, 12, 13?
Right, now, let me put it this way, Bo. See if you were 12 or 13 and someone tried to burn you alive.
Uh-huh.
Would you remember that?
Oh, sure. She has a very...
Liv apparently has completely forgotten about this. That's why she decided to go back to the island that weekend. Yeah. It's so fucking, honestly. And then we're going to have a word about her mother and why she's still on the fucking island. It's just...
So, all right, so... Liv is screaming. Liv's mom shows up and gives Vincent like a shove and gets him away. And then David Cronenberg
no, it's not a shove to push away. She slaps him across she, like, as they say in Scotland, slaps him in the dish right across his face.
Good. And Cronenberg rolls up on this scene though, and he's like, what's going on here? And she says, like, your dumbass grandkids were trying to set fire to Liv, by the way, who is also one of your dumbass grandkids.
Yeah.
And he says, well, you can't tame the rambunctiousness of a small boy. And then like we cut away from that to her.
What should have happened there is a scene from Midnight Run where she'd be like that, like, you can't tame that. What the fuck does that mean? You mean like it's like I was like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, I understand boys will be boys, not when it comes to burning someone alive. Like,
right. And yes. And so Liv's mom is telling her, like, look, Vincent and Theo have always been run, but especially Vincent. And then this is where she starts to sing that song, that lullaby.
She starts to sing the kidnap lullaby.
Right. And dude,
so fucking dumb.
Vincent
so dumb.
wakes up hearing this. Whoa.
He gets PTSD.
Totally.
It's like a Nam-like flashback to being kidnapped.
And so he follows the sound all the way into the hallway. And there are all these weird, like, Dutch angles as he's wandering around looking all glassy-eyed. And he finds this secret passage, follows it all the way to the room where he just, like, ducks into the little, troll door from Cat's Eye that they have in the wall. And comes out in the bedroom, and he's like, "How you know that song?"
Yeah.
And she's like, it's just, I was always taught that song. I just know it from back when I was a kid."
Why, like, you could easily lie your way to this. This is so easy to lie your way to this.
Right. Unless you wrote
It's a popular nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's like, the kidnappers sing that to me. And then Liv is like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then another quick cut, and all of a sudden everybody is in this room.
Because we cannot, like, we cannot wait to get everyone in a location really quickly in this show.
And so everybody is there, and Liv's mom was like, "This is so crazy. You would think that I would be the kidnapper. I have always known that song." And then Florence does the thing where she, like,
tries to befriend her. The woman that stabbed you in the foot, which, by the way, you walked that off really easy with the fucking meat skewer twice, just like an episode ago, is now like, listen, it's Nightbreed. Listen, Boone, it's okay. I'm here to help you. So that he's got a gun. Like, it's like,
she's got a lullaby.
She's like, literally, she's like, well, like, I understand. I mean, you were just protecting your kid. We all understand. You just need to come clean. You just need to tell us. It was you that kidnapped him, wasn't it? It was you.
And Liv is like, that's crazy. My mother would. She's not a kidnapper. And Florence is like, Our Liv's mom is like, well, technically, I did a little bit of kidnapping.
And Florence slaps her in the dish, like, straight away. You motherfucker, like that. You stole my child.
Well,
is this what happened? Yeah. And he's like, well, and she's like, no, you don't know the whole story. You don't know the whole story. And then we get the new level of fuckery, which, I'll be honest, Bo, could not give a tiny fuck about. Like, this whole subplot thing is not going to lead to, it is being used as a red herring to make you think that Vincent's the killer. Me and you both know Vincent isn't the killer, so I don't care about it. I don't care where he's been for fucking 12 years. Don't care.
Here's the fuckery in question.
Yes.
The way this shook out is that Liv's mom and apparently her family,
gypsies must be like Romani. I don't know. I literally do not know what this means, like, at all.
Yeah. So they kidnapped Vincent to ransom him back to the family so she could get money to get Liv off the island.
Which she could have just, like, once again, we've not seen anything that said she's beholden to. Cronenberg has said, I will pay for her education, but I won't acknowledge her as my grandkid. However, if you do stay here, I will fire you and ruin your life. Well, no, sorry, if you do try and make her a Galloway, that's what I'll do. So why she just didn't take a job somewhere else? Our kids' education's paid for.
So anyway, Duncan.
Yeah.
David Cronenberg sniffs this out immediately, apparently.
Straight away. Which, by the way, I would as well. I love that. Who on this island has a big old fucking grudge for me right now? Oh, yes, the mother of the granddaughter that I refuse to acknowledge.
Who I gave a protractor for Christmas.
I gave her a projector for Christmas. She slapped Vincent, like, not that long ago, after I said boys will be boys in a very weird way. So, like, it's like, obviously hard, but like, this is the ultimate level, though. Cronenberg got Vincent without paying a ransom, and then just shipped him off somewhere.
Yep.
And the worst bit is, she thought Cronenberg had just killed him.
Yeah, Liv's mom thought he was dead.
She's like, I honestly thought you were dead. I never thought you was like. I just assumed like Cronenberg fucking had him whacked, that he was sleeping with the fishies. Like
that this child was too weak to not be kidnapped or something. And so in his world, he was just like, oh no, well, I don't want that grandkid if he can't even stay out of a kidnapper's clutches.
Fucking hell, man. So what is this show doing?
So then Theo, after we all of this comes out, Theo grabs the gun out of Vincent's
He's got a gun!
And once an episode this season, we have to do that. Sometimes more, but at least once. And basically, Theo points the gun at everybody. It is like, everybody calm down while I'm pointing this gun at you.
This lived firearm,
Right. Everybody's going to go to their room and lock their doors. But
we're specifically locking these guys away until Monday when the police arrive.
Right. We will let
the police that are going to arrive using that phone that we don't have. I'm assuming it's because they think the sailor is still alive and he'll be back by Monday.
Yeah. So, right. We're going to let the authorities sort all this out. We're not going to have some kind of, lynching out on the front lawn or anything for these people. And meanwhile, Florence and Vincent have completely bought into the idea, like they are 100% the killers.
Yeah, Florence. The thing is, though, Florence is clearly pushing Vincent, pushing his buttons.
Absolutely, and he's like, "You're right, Mom. There's only one way to solve this." And so they go to get these knives, these butcher knives from
huge fucking Michael Myers style kitchen knives from the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then under cover of darkness and like all good murders at night are done. When you're about to stab someone, you just scream, Florence. Like she's like, yeah! Like fucking like stabbing this fucking pillow. Just like the whole house is awake now. But she's like fucking like repeatedly stabs this bed and then lifts the cover up, and wouldn't you know it? They're not there, Bo.
Right. They just did the old
they're vanished. Kaiser Soze.
They did the old Shawshank Redemption of just having some pillows under a blanket.
Yeah.
And then so cut to Theo has managed to get them out of the house. Liv is working on the boat, going ahead and patching that and she tells her mom, and Theo is still in the house somewhere.
Yeah, he's went back into like tidy things over.
Or dress up like the killer.
Made my brain fucking boil. There's a killer on the loose. We know there's a killer on the loose. I'm there with my mum that I'm trying to get off the island. And then what I say to my mum is, maybe you should go back up to the house to make sure we're not being followed.
Well, she's like, go to the dock and keep an eye on...
Stay together and fix the boat.
I mean, yes, you're right. But she's like, keep an eye out. If you see anything weird, scream and I'll come running.
Like, make the noise of the Austrian mongoose and I will come. That's the signal.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I hear that noise, I will be on my way.
Yeah. So Liv's mom is out on this dock. She hears something in the water and turns around, and then we as the viewer see like, oh, the killer is back behind her somewhere.
Yeah.
And then he comes running at her like a linebacker.
She comes running at her.
She comes running at her like a linebacker.
Either way, it's a she. Like, if your theory pans out, she's a she. My theory pans out, it's a she.
I'm not saying that the orphan is necessarily...
No, you genuinely think she's verbal kint, and at the end of this one, her limp will straighten up. She'll fucking get picked up by Kobayashi and drive off.
Yeah. I think she's in on it. I don't think she's the killer because she's too small. But I think we're going to learn that she is, in fact, an orphan.
Right. A 60-year-old woman that eats people.
Right. She has something to do with it. I'm not sure what. So maybe she's Dr. Trent's real daughter or something like that.
Plot twist.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Would it?
I need my fucking simple-minded like Pika daughter to infiltrate this family by posing as an orphan.
All right, have you seen the movie The Orphan? You're going to do that. All right.
I'd like to, for simplicity, I've called this whole project Operation Orphan.
So I need to go back and watch that movie so I know how the last episode
we need to watch it anyway because the sequel comes out this year. So.
That's right. Yeah, we might do somewhere in after the Clouseau stuff. We may do an orphanathon.
An orphan double bill.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Liv's mom gets tackled by the killer. Liv goes to investigate, but they're gone,
vanished.
And then Liv's mom wakes up, creep showed at the beach.
This is like a total non-death as well. Compared to what we've seen before, this feels, and it also makes me feel on some level, and I hope we get more information in on this one. Is this because, maybe it isn't as brutal because she wasn't a member of the family?
Maybe, but it's
still a horrible way to fucking die.
Sure, but all right. So,
dude, I've just watched, I've literally, in the last couple of days, I've just watched the original The Vanishing, which, by the way, that could have been my good for this week. That movie is fucking incredible. At the end of that movie, the very idea or concept about being buried alive is fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, once again, credit to Slasher where credit's due, right? Out with the fact that this is not a practical death. There's no way to pack the sand in such a way in the time period that she's been out that she wouldn't be able to wriggle herself free, right? That's an impossibility. But like the dirt that's getting flung on her face and whatnot, they have a really, really, really cool effect, which I liked, of the sand moving to indicate her breathing. Yeah. And then eventually the sand stops moving, which I was like, that's like, see if we just spent half the amount of time, like even half that we do to creating the kills and showing them on, I don't know, character development, story, anything, then this show would be watchable.
I mean, you're right. You're right. But yeah, I mean, and she presumably is dead, buried under the sand.
Yeah,
and that's it. And then credits. And
yes. What happened in the? Let's talk about this, Bo. What actually happened in this episode?
Okay, so you find out the crazy plot. You find out that Vincent was in fact kidnapped and that Liv had something to do with it.
But you don't know where he's been.
Right, you still don't know where he's been.
No, because we'll stretch that out for another couple of episodes.
And Liv got back to the house, and that's pretty much it.
That is it. And Robin's body was discovered.
Yeah.
That is literally it. We are 4 episodes in, and they've given us, on the 4th episode, a filler episode. That does not bode well.
Yeah, I mean,
That's only one death. We need to get down to asshole survivor at the end of this. Maybe 2. But asshole survivor at the end of this. There's a lot of people walking around, which means there is going to be an inevitable episode somewhere, maybe the next one, where about 3 characters are going to die, right? Just bring one of them forward into this episode.
Or it turns out that this is a real like Murder on the Orient Express thing, and that
they're all in on it.
Yeah, they've all killed somebody. But
spoiler alert for a really, really, really old book.
Sorry to ruin Murder on the Orient Express, the century-old mystery.
Yeah, the definitive Christie mystery. But yeah, like. It didn't do anything. Everything you've seen in here could have been condensed into 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a total wheel spinner of an episode.
Yeah.
All right, before we wrap things up, a couple of things from chat. Ramman, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And then
hello.
We also got the question: have you guys got to the big reveal yet? Where was Old Man Jenkins the whole time? Now, I propose, Duncan, that any given episode of Scooby-Doo is generally a better mystery.
Oh, than this, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And those were done over 25 minutes, and written by people that had to churn out these things every single week for like years.
Oh yeah. No, they're like every season of Scooby-Doo was like 47 episodes long.
Yeah. Yes.
So that is it for.
Yeah, I wish this was it, but we have 4 fucking episodes still to go. We have a back half now to do.
We're in the back 9. Season 5 of Slasher has been announced, but it's nowhere. Like that's it.
We will not be touching that for a long time.
Yeah. So we're there's light at the end of the tunnel is what we're saying. Hopefully it is not an oncoming train. So Duncan.
Yes,
where can people find more of you between now and when next we speak?
You can, of course, check me out on Podcast Under the Stairs. Right now, we are, to be honest, like my content releasing has went down a little bit, just mostly because I know, it's only 2 episodes in a week. Mostly because like I've been to that festival, tons of screeners and loads of stuff to catch up on. So there's still been the Monday episodes, which I'm really enjoying putting out. And what you will be getting in the interim between us talking again on Podcast Under the Stairs is you will be getting another 2 episodes of March Madness, where we do a serial killer style profile on an actual serial killer in a horror movie. The next one will be dropping on Monday, and it'll be on the Clove Hitch Killer, which is a really good movie. I'd like that. Once again, coming back to that one, that movie holds up, stands up. Granted, like it says at the end, any likeness to any known person or whatever, is like, these characters are purely fictitious. And I was like, BTK. I'm just saying BTK. But yeah, so that's going to drop. We'll have our finale for that. That will drop on either Friday or Saturday. I am dropping a review on Tuesday of a brand new movie called Broadcast Signal, which I thought was great. I know it's done the festival run and all the rest, but there's a little bit of film footage in there. There's a little bit of kind of internet paranoia in there and all the rest. And I think it holds together really well. So you get my review of that. You will also get a review which is dropping tonight for my Arrow video assortment on a little double bill. You may have heard of it before from a director called Jeremy Gardner of The Battery and After Midnight, which came out in the same release. So we'll be doing mini reviews of those 2. On the Teapots Collective, you will be getting the aforementioned episode of Chronicle, where myself and the Baz sit down and speak about the original The Vanishing from 1988. There will be an episode of Doing the Nasty dropping as well as Where to Begin With, which we're looking at Strangers on a Train. And listener reviews of our previous movie, which was Chinatown. So yeah, I'm very busy. It's all found at teapotscast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Chinatown.
China.
All right. So for more out of me, you can check out Pick 6 Movies, which is looking at Die Hard ripoffs this season. You can the most recent episode just dropped on Passenger 57. Always bet on black. And so just search for Pick 6 Movies wherever you find your podcasts. And all the horror stuff I do is found at The Dark Parade, which is a series of main episodes and bonus episodes and all kinds of fun stuff. Recently, we looked at Last Night in Soho with Jamie Sammons.
Oh, and, yeah, I like that movie quite a bit.
It's a real good movie, and it was a real fun conversation as well. So all of that stuff is available on Dark Parade, along with Found Footage Fool and a bunch of bonus stuff. So go over and subscribe to that and enjoy it all. You can't help but enjoy it. If you don't, you get one in the dish.
Yep, we'll go full-blown Afro conversation with you. Why you no enjoy?
Why you no like, daddy? So in the meantime, though, we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about episode 5 of Slasher Season.
So close to the end.
Close. And the only thing left to do is to say to my good friend Duncan, say goodnight, Duncan.
To my good friend Duncan, say goodnight, Duncan. That's what I do. Every time. Everything I think.